Hey everyone. Today's story is sure to get your heart racing. Are you ready? He then used paper and a pen to communicate with his wife, telling her they were framed and needed to escape immediately, but just then, there was a rapid knocking at the door. No doubt the agents were already here. As they stormed in, they began searching everywhere, but Zongsheng showed no hesitation. This marked his total split from the group. Zongsheng, knowing reinforcements were near, packed his bag and fled downstairs with his wife. But they were a step too late. The stairs were already surrounded, forcing them to retreat back into the room. Zongsheng handed his only gun to his wife. He then forcefully pulled the curtains aside. The door was already breached. This window was their only escape route, and he closed the curtains again, preparing to buy time for her escape. However, the roof was so steep and slick that his wife almost slipped off. The noise caught the attention of the assailants inside. As danger approached, Zongsheng toppled a cabinet onto them and engaged in close combat in the small kitchen. Meanwhile, his wife struggled outside. Luckily, he grabbed the overhang in time to avoid tragedy. Inside, Zongsheng faced attackers. An assailant choked him tightly. Zongsheng tried all means but couldn't escape. In chaos, he found a stapler on the table. While the little staples wouldn't deliver a lethal blow, it gave him a chance to counter. Zongsheng was lifted and slammed onto the table, feeling quite the impact. Fortunately, he broke free from the chokehold. His wife outside sought escape along the roof, while inside, both grabbed guns. Clearly, the attackers had the firepower advantage. His wife leaped to the window, and at that moment, Zongsheng also crashed through a window. The assailants took the opportunity to dive out the window and began shooting wildly at Zongsheng. Cornered, his wife raised her gun and pulled the trigger. However, that shot missed and revealed her position. In the chaos, she hit one of the assailants in the shoulder, but now the glass in front of them was starting to shatter. Zongsheng fell from the house, but his leg caught in wires, saving his life. However, due to immense inertia, he was hurled in the air, smashing into a corner metal cabinet before landing, nearly losing his life. Fortunately, they both survived, but instead of continuing to flee, they decided to find a nearby hotel. However, the plan was predicted by the apprentice, so he immediately ordered a search of all the nearby hotels. "This is what he taught me: if you're captured, it'll be under the bed." Zongsheng locked the hotel door and propped a book against the doorknob, stuffed a towel into the door crack, and finally pulled down the curtains. Only then could they take a breather and talk. "Are you okay? You don't look too good." They both fell silent after a long while of being so close, their hearts raced. Eventually, his wife even blushed and looked away, but this wasn't really the time for flirting. Zongsheng inserted a USB into the computer, cracked the account password with Superior's coded phrases, and solved his lingering mystery. It turned out the agent's father was Zongsheng's top boss, secretly selling arms under the government's name. He deposited all profits in a Berlin account as public funds for Zongsheng and superiors to manage. The reason the agent showed up was to replace them in taking over the accounts. The waitress did betray them, but the source of the information wasn't Zongsheng's wife. It was actually the waitress who was bribed by the Korean agents, hiding a recording device under the table. The agent killed her after she confessed, successfully framing Zongsheng. Zongsheng never imagined that the organization he unknowingly served was just a means for the agent and his father to make money. Although misunderstandings had cleared up, his wife's heart was still. However, their rift was still not mended, and the pursuers were already at the door. Besides the agent's men, there were also Arab militants involved in the initial arms deal. Their leader was caught by Israel during the last deal, and the agent blamed everything on Zongsheng. He promised them help in taking out Zongsheng, in return for easing future arms deals. Faced with such overwhelming firepower, Zongsheng had no chance to retaliate. He could only shield his wife with his body and wait for an opportunity. Seeing his wife protecting her belly, Zongsheng firmly told her that no matter what happened, they all had to survive. He then tossed down his gun and surrendered. As they prepared to take the elevator down, the Korean agent reappeared. The armed men had beaten him there. He planned to slip away quietly. However, at that moment, Zongsheng seized the opportunity to counterattack. Fierce gunfight erupted again. Zongsheng finally got his hands on a decent weapon, but his wife had already been taken into the elevator, and she immediately dashed down the stairs. Though she took out the armed men that appeared midway in just a few swift moves, it cost her precious time. By the time she reached, his wife was taken away. Zongsheng chased, shooting, broke a window and hit a tire. However, the car didn't slow. Zongsheng chased again, jumped onto a car at a curve, and the driver drew a gun out the window. His wife quickly intervened from back, stopping the bullets, but the driver soon jerked the wheel, throwing Zongsheng dangerously. Ultimately, he lost his balance and tumbled to the ground, watching helplessly as the car drove away. This was perhaps his most helpless moment. Hailed a national hero, he now couldn't even protect his family. What brought real despair was that Korean agent, Old Park, caught up with him, but this time he didn't aim for his wife. He pointed the gun at Zongsheng's head to prevent him from escaping again. To Zongsheng's surprise, they didn't hurry to take him away. Instead, they played him a recording. At that moment, Zongsheng truly understood. The last arms deal failed because the agent leaked information to Israeli operatives, using it as a pretext to intervene in an investigation and ultimately frame them. Old Park learned this truth when he interrogated the Israeli agents recently. That recording was Zongsheng's lifeline to prove his innocence, so he shared everything he knew. He told the Korean agent everything. Old Park was shocked. Although they worked for different masters, he felt sorry for Zongsheng becoming a sacrificial pawn. He agreed to let Zongsheng call his wife. Although the agent used to be his student, he didn't pull any punches this time, warning Zongsheng that if he didn't arrive by the deadline, subtitles had to find his sister-in-law's corpse waiting. Hearing gunfire and his wife's screams, Zongsheng abandoned his beliefs, saying Old Park must help rescue his wife. He'd not only hand over the secret account, but even ally with Korea. Old Park gazed seriously, and the two sides united.